Thank you for joining the webinar today. We are going to jump into a little discussion of Google Sheets. My name is Mike Wood. So sit back, enjoy the learning. We're going to talk about some basics of using Google Sheets. So first thing I want to do is talk about getting to Google Sheets. Google Sheets is part of Drive, part of Google Drive or Google Docs. So if we're in Gmail and we go over to the right side and click on the little apps icon, the Google Apps right there, that opens up all of our app options. And the Drive is this little triangle looking icon with the green, yellow, and blue triangle. So we're going to click that, and that'll open up our Drive, which I already had open, but it opens it for us here. And so this will get us into Drive, and then from here we can create documents, look at the documents that we've saved, delete and remove documents if we don't want them in there any longer. Basically do anything we want to within our Google Drive and all of our documents and files that we have here. I've created an organization system with folders and files in folders. And you can do the same. So over here on the top left, we've got new. And if we click on that, we can create a new folder. We can do an upload and upload a file from our computer. We can upload an entire folder from our computer. We can go in and create a new doc. We can create a new sheet, Google Sheets, which is a spreadsheet. We can create Google Slides, which is a slide presentation like I don't even know. I can't remember the old Windows Office software, what it's called. But anyway, it's a slide presentation. We can create a Google form, drawings, maps, all these different things that we can create. Generally, docs and sheets is all you're going to use. I use slides for my presenting sometimes. So that's where we can create new documents. What I want to do is go down to one that I have and share that with you a little bit here and talk about it. So we're going to open this document right here, and this comes from a question that I had earlier today actually on this very document. And so what I want to clarify is a little bit about how this view looks. So here you can see a link that was taken from Amazon and posted into here, and it's overwriting, or it looks like it's going past the line of our cell, right? These are called cells. Each of these little squares where you can put data is called a cell. So it looks like it's going over the cell. Well, if you click over to the right and enter data into that next cell right there, see that cell, even though this is flowing over into multiple cells, those cells are still there. And if you click in there and type something into it, then it'll just truncate that. The link has not gone anywhere. It's still there. It didn't break the link. That link is still showing there. So that's one of the things I wanted to kind of show you today, is just how that works. And if you just enter something into the next cell, we'll do it again right here, then it takes that and overwrites doesn't overwrite, but it puts the data in there. So if we want to put a correct price in there, I can come back here and we can put in a price. I just looked up that product there. So we can put that price in there. This should be a free shipping item, so we're good there. And so that's how that will work. So this is showing problems because that was changed right there, because she doesn't know that I'm working on this at the same time that she's working on it. Rose, I told you to join the meeting tonight, but that's okay. She's busy working on her business. So we'll do the next one for her, and I'll take that and copy it, and that's a $4 knife set. We're going to set that to we'll put it as $5. And so this spreadsheet that I'm working on here automatically tallies information. And so what I wanted to, and I want you to ask me questions, because this is something where I'm going to go through and explain a few of the basics of the using Google Sheets. So if you have questions about this, please ask me. This is just one of those things that I definitely wanted to show. So, all right, let's go. While I'm waiting for those questions, I'm just going to replace some of these links here. And that's not really what I expected to just copy it, but that's what happens when I'm thinking while trying to do something. walking and chewing gum at the same time, you know, some of those are. So, all right, that is $30. Okay. So it doesn't matter. You see the same thing over here. There's actually more data, and I guess that's another thing I can show you here. When you click on a cell down in here, the information in that cell shows up above here. So if I click on this cell, now we see that data. So see, and if I click up in here, then it expands that, and it looks like it's overriding the other cells. It's not. If I click out of it, see, that content is still there. So all the content is still saved here for us. Nothing has gone away. It's all there. If I were to click on that and copy that detail, or let's look at this one or this one, for example. See, it has gold leaf sheet size, and you can only see here up to water-based gold leaf, right? You can't even see the full word of leaf. But if I copy that and then go paste it somewhere else, you can see that it did copy everything, even though you can't see it. Okay, so the data's there. Don't worry about it if it looks like it disappeared or got overwritten by the next cell, or if it's overwriting another cell. Doesn't matter. The data's there, regardless of what you can see. Okay, so that's a little bit about some of the basics of Google Sheets. Let's see. I'm going to show you just a few more details here, and then we're going to keep this webinar very brief, especially if we don't have any comments. So up at the top of the sheet, I'll just make a new sheet here to do this with, so we don't disturb her while she's working on that. So at the top of the sheet, you'll see we have column header, column number, or letters. So each column is lettered, so A, B, C, D, E, all the way through the alphabet. And if we go past Z, then it starts over. So if we insert one to the right, now it's going to do AA, BB, CC, okay? And that's how it will go through. So the columns are lettered. They have a name with a letter. And then the rows, so this is a column up and down, column highlighted there. See, column B highlighted. That's the column. And then the row, right here, I've highlighted row 3. That goes across sideways. So that's our row. So columns, rows, a little bit of terminology to understand there. And then these little boxes in between here, those are cells. And so this cell right here, this is kind of like playing a game of, what's the ship game? Battleship. It's kind of like playing Battleship. If we wanted to explain what cell we're in here, we would say C3. This is B2. This is D4, right? So that's the cell name, okay? All right, so if we want to change the cell, let's say, there's lots of information here, and then over here is, Okay, so if these are our headers and we want to be able to see what this says, we can come up here to this line in between those cells, and we can double click that. If we double click it, it opens up as far as it needs to show you all of the content that is within that cell. Okay. Not only within the cell, but if we take this, paste it down here, and then we add more content. All right, so that one's longer. Now we can't see it, right? So if I do this double click up here again, I've got to see that blue show up with that line there and the little arrow. Double click, and boom, it opens up to the widest content in this column. Okay, so that's kind of nifty. Now, if I don't want to necessarily open it that wide, but I want to choose how wide it is, I can click that and drag it. I could go wider. I can go less wide. Okay. So there's another basic tip. One more thing I'll cover here. If I want to change the width of all of these, I can highlight all of them and go, let's say I want them all to be as short as this column right here. Double click. Nope, that doesn't do it as one column. It opens it to whatever width is needed for each of those columns. Okay, but if I want all of them to be the same, then while they're all highlighted, I go like this. Now they're all the same width, regardless of the content. See that? Click and drag. Okay. Double click, shortens it to, for each column, whatever is the widest needed. All right, what else can I show you here? Same thing happens with the rows. If I highlight a whole bunch of rows and I want to change their size, boom, they're all changed. Now, a lot of times, this kind of stuff is something that is inadvertent, that you might do something like this. And I just got a message the screen share isn't working. Really? You can't see my screen? It says show main screen. That's the screen. It should be showing. So back to the tutorial here. This is something that happens sometimes inadvertently. You might stretch a screen or a cell or shrink it. Make it the size that you don't like. So if that happens, let's get these back to normal. So we'll put them all to the same size. So let's say you inadvertently you're moving around, you're doing things, you click and you drag like that. Okay, so all of a sudden there's no 4, or it appears that the 4 is gone, right? You can't see it. You can't see the content that's in there. Type it in. Oh, where to go? I can't see it. My 4 is gone, right? So if you can see enough to grab this, you can open that up, and there it'll show it again. If you can't see that much, let's say we shrink it so much that we can't get it to highlight there, then what I would suggest doing is highlight 3 to 5. So we drag across multiple and then double click, and that will get all of them to the size they need to be. Okay. Remember that double click, right? And sizes all of them to the smallest they need to be. And so that's how you can do that if you inadvertently do something like that. One more thing that I think would be valuable for you to see, if I'm copying content from, say, Amazon, for example, and I paste it in here, it sometimes will carry over the there we go. See, it carried the formatting attributes from where I copied from. And so sometimes if it's really large text, for example, then you'll end up with the really large text there. So that's what I wanted to show you. So let's undo that. Let's put in some large text. All right. So we have large text here. We're going to bold that, and we're going to make it 18. Okay. So if we copy that and then paste it right here, if we just click once in that cell and it's just outlined blue, and I paste it, it's going to paste exactly as it was. So if we're copying from a site that has large text, then it might, if it's big bold text, then it's going to take that formatting. If we don't want that formatting, then what we do is double click in the cell. When you double click, you'll see your cursor flashing right there that you can see on the screen. And when that happens and then you paste, that strips all of the formatting. So now I press enter, and it's going to have just the normal default text size instead of the large text that I had copied. Okay. So that's something to keep in mind. Also with if you're doing, if you're copying a link or copying text that has a link in it, it'll paste the link like you saw here. Let's do it again right here. So if we do the link, see, it's going to paste the link in there, right? So it's an active link. If we don't want that to be an active link, you paste it here and it pastes it in, but it's not necessarily a link until you press enter. Then it recognizes it's a link. And that's okay. Normally, if you're going to paste a link, you'll want it there. Okay, so that gives you a little bit of intro on using Google Sheets. Rewind, rewatch. If there's anything that you need to understand there, we'll talk more about some other aspects of Sheets in future webinars.